So welcome. This is an introduction to Google Slides. Google Slides is it's a cloud-based presentation program used for creating slideshows. So cloud-based just means that you don't have to install any programs on your computer, that it lives on the World Wide Web on one of Google's servers. And so all you have to do is just open your web browser. So that can be Chrome or Firefox or whatever your favorite web browser is, and then go to the Google Slides website and edit your document there. Your document doesn't have to be on your own computer. It just lives totally in the web, which is kind of nice. PowerPoint was presented yesterday. This is an alternative to PowerPoint and a very good one. And it'll do probably 99% of what PowerPoint will do with no problems at all. So some important features of Google Slides. The first important one is that it's free. PowerPoint you have to buy as part of Office, which is kind of a nuisance, but this is just totally free. And is available, like I said, via the web, via an app, so Android or iPhone, or in fact BlackBerry, or even Windows phones if you had one. And it's a desktop app on Chromebooks. So if you happen to have a Chromebook, there's nothing to install. You'll probably already see an icon for it and it'll open directly. Oh, just as a reminder, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat area. And then if one of the co-hosts could just interrupt me at any time if the question is pressing. And if I go too fast, please let me know, all right? It's designed for collaboration right out of the box. So what that means is that when you see the editor, which I'll show you in just a second. Actually, I'll show it to you right now. Up in the top right corner, you'll see this share icon. And through that, you can invite other people to view the document or edit the document or even just comment on the document. So for instance, if you were doing a collaborative project, in the beginning, you might invite other people to be editors with you. And then as you get close to the final revision, then you would start locking it down and only give them permission to comment. And then at the end, when the document is completely finalized, then you can change it so they can only view it. And that's quite a powerful feature, and it's one of the main benefits of it over PowerPoint. Let me just advance to where we were. Sorry about that. And often people are worried about, is my document being saved? And here it is automatically saved, so you don't even have to worry about that. And another nice feature, it includes revision history. So that's quite handy, especially if you have other people editing the document. So if somebody makes a mistake in the document, then you can go back to any point in time and retrieve old versions of it. And you can embed the slideshow into a website or a blog. So I know that's becoming very popular for people, is to create like a blog, maybe try to get some advertising revenue. So here you can create a slideshow and then you can actually embed it. And I'll show you an example. So this is a website that I have. And here, this is a Google Slides slideshow embedded right in the web page. And lastly, it's completely compatible with PowerPoint. So if you are using PowerPoint now, and you have, let's say, like a 1-year subscription, and you don't want to pay the $100 for next year, you could simply stop your Microsoft Office subscription and then just switch to Google Slides. And all your PowerPoint presentations are totally compatible. You can import them directly into Google Slides. And most of the time they will import just fine. Sometimes there might be some formatting issues, but it's not a big deal to get them fixed up. So how do we get to Google Slides? Well, there's actually a number of ways. So the first way is via Google Drive. So if you just go to drive.google.com, or if you just search for Google Drive, it'll probably be the top link. Or you can go directly to slides.google.com. Or lastly, you can go to slides.new. So that's actually, it doesn't look like an address because it doesn't have like .ca or .com or something like that. It's .new. But that will actually create a brand new slideshow for you, which is kind of a handy tip. Or if you have it installed on your device, your mobile device, you just simply open the app on your device. So let's look at some example slideshows to see the kinds of things that you can do. So the first one, this is a slideshow that I created. Okay, so this is a very simple slideshow that I created. And if you look here, it has just a simple text box at the top with some text. So there's a title, there's a subtitle, and there's an image. And then if we go to the next slide, it's just an image. And then so I know that some of you like to create like slideshows just of pictures, fun pictures to share with relatives through email or something. So this is the kind of thing you could do, right? So very simple. And if you're wondering, this Vivian Meyer was a Chicago, she was a nanny actually, and got into photography late in life. So if you like photography at all, give her a look, quite interesting. And then another one that I have, so this one is a more of a formal presentation. So this is a presentation I did with another gentleman where we taught the group about screencasting. So you'll see, again, you'll see text boxes, you'll see a link, so you can link to something, right? Text, you know, images that you can embed. Here's a video that you can embed, right? So there's quite a bit more that you can do. And then this is kind of an interesting one that was recommended. So this is the game of Jeopardy. So your slideshow can be completely interactive. So all of these numbers here, okay, these are actually links to other slides within the document. So if I click on 100, it brings me to another slide. Okay, and then down here it says click to see answer. You would get the answer, and then here it says return to Jeopardy board to bring you back to here. So it's completely interactive, so you can link to other slides, which makes it kind of fun. Now, of course, this one doesn't have questions because this is simply a template. And you would take this template and you would edit it to put in your own questions and answers. So this might be kind of a fun thing to do while you're perhaps still in quarantine. Are there any questions coming up yet? Okay, guess not. Okay, overview of the menu bar. So the menu bar, if you're used to other Windows programs, it's going to be quite similar. You'll see the file menu at the top, okay, and that's pretty typical of many other programs. You'll see edit, typical of many programs, view. So many of those are very common. So if we have a look at file, I'm not going to show you everything that's in here. I'll just show you the things that you would mostly be interested in. So file share, so that would be very similar to clicking on that share button where you want to share the document with other people. New, so this would be where you create like a new presentation, or in fact, because this is part of the Google Drive suite, you could also create a new document, new spreadsheet, a new form, or a new drawing. If you want to create a new presentation from a template, you can do that here. And there's lots of templates built in, so I encourage you to maybe check that out. This would also be where you want to open a slideshow, or perhaps import slides from somewhere else, or make a copy. So this is kind of handy if you want to preserve the slideshow that you have and make a copy to make a derivative. Download, so many people are worried about compatibility. So here you can download to PowerPoint, for instance, or this is the Open Office format, or Adobe Acrobat, PDF, or even plain text, although I don't know why you would ever do that, or images, so JPEGs or PNGs, PNGs, or here's another format that you may not be familiar with called SVG. And SVG is quite common for graphic artists, for instance, right? So there's a number of ways you can download it. If you want to email it as an attachment, you would do that, and it will tie in with your Gmail account. Make available offline, so that's kind of handy if you, let's say that you are going on a plane ride and you want to edit the document on the plane ride, you would make it available offline so that you can edit it, and then when you hook up again, it will synchronize. Version history, so that goes along with that revision history I talked about. Renaming, so renaming can also be done right up here, just by clicking on that up there. Okay, move. Move is similar to folders on your computer where you would organize where all your documents are. So with move, you can move it to another location. Publish to the web. So that would be for if you want to embed it on a website. So that website that I showed you where I had it embedded, that's what I had to use to do that. Email collaborators, so that's if you're sharing. And the rest of it I won't
So
worry
sorry to
Go ahead.
interrupt. Could you go more in detail into publish to web, how that works?
Sure. So publish to the web. And then you have a couple of choices. So one can just be a link. So when somebody clicks on the link, so you're going to get like an address to this, similar to a web page. And then, so when you do that, then you can decide, do you want the slides to advance automatically? So that might be handy for like that photo show that I showed, right? Where you would want the slides to advance automatically, right? And you've got lots of different choices. So like every minute. So something like that, like have you ever seen like a kiosk in a mall where you've got like pages that just automatically advance, right? So this could be very similar to that. And then you've got some options. So start the slideshow as soon as the player loads, and then restart the slideshow after the last slide. So again, that would be like that kiosk where the slides just keep on going forever. And then you would click on publish after you choose the options. For the website, you would choose this embed option. So you would choose the size that you want. Okay, so let's say you want it to be large. And then again, there's the options for advancing. Okay, and then once you've chosen the options that you want, then just click on publish, and it would give you an address that you would use to actually embed the slideshow in the web page. Okay, does that answer your question, Lorianne?
Yeah, I think that answers one of the questions that was in the chat.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to edit. So edit's going to be very familiar. We have undo, so that's the whoops button. Okay, so when you make a mistake, and I would strongly recommend Control Z, so that's the hotkey. So I would recommend memorizing that, Control Z. And then redo, so that's if you want to redo something, and cut and copy and paste. Those should be familiar to most people because they're very similar to, word processing. Paste without formatting, that's kind of neat because that way if you have something that you've pulled off of a website, so let's say there's a bunch of text and it's big and bold and different colors, and you want to paste it without the big and the bold and the colors, then you would use that option there. And delete, I think everybody knows what delete is. Duplicate makes a copy. Select all is kind of handy if you want to select everything on a page. And then find and replace is similar to like a word processor where you've maybe misspelled a word and you need to fix the spelling everywhere, or you have a name. So let's say you have a document with a name in it and you want to change the name everywhere, then you can do that. View, so view present, you would use master. I'll get into master later. Zoom, so this is where you can zoom in and out, and most of the time you would probably just leave it on fit. So it's going to fit it to the page as best it can. Rulers, so that simply turns the ruler on and off. And guides, so guides can be kind of handy if you want to snap objects to certain things, and then snap, so then you can turn snap on. So again, that's if you, let's say you insert like a rectangular shape and you want it to snap to a line, you can do that. And speaker notes. So right now I have speaker notes turned on. So down at the bottom here, you'll see where it says click to add speaker notes. So I personally don't use speaker notes too much, but for somebody that's creating a slideshow, maybe for the first time, and you're a little bit nervous about what you're going to say, then you can add some notes down there. Or just little reminders, to make sure that you cover everything you want to cover. Insert, I'm not going to cover this right now because we're going to go into this in detail later. Format, so this is very similar to the kinds of formatting options you would have in a word processor. Okay, so aligning, like left aligning, right aligning, that sort of thing. Line spacing for like double spacing, bullets and numbers, clear formatting. So again, that's like where, let's say you imported that thing that was big and bold and colored and you want to clear that formatting, then you can do that. Changing borders and lines. The slide menu, so this is where you would insert a new slide, or in fact, there's an easier way to do that. Duplicate slide, delete a slide, skip the slide. That's actually kind of handy if you have a slide that, let's say you're presenting to a different audience, and there's a slide that you have and you don't think you're going to use it today because you want to shorten the presentation, then you can mark that slide to be skipped. So that's kind of handy. Move slide lets you obviously just move it to somewhere else. Change background. So that's kind of handy because let's say that, you don't want that slide to be, the same boring slide as everything else, then you can go ahead and change that. Apply layout. So this is something that I use quite often. So I may have inserted a slide. So if we have a look at this slide right now, so this slide is what they would call a title and body slide. So let's say I want to change this so it looks like a title slide. Okay, do you see what's happened there? Right, so it's turned it into like a major title slide. So let me go and change that back. Okay. Apply layout. Well, we just did that. Transition. So the transition is when the slide first appears, how do you want it to appear? Do you want it to just snap to the screen directly? Or do you want it to slide in from the left-hand side? Or do you want it to fade in, kind of like a Star Trek effect? But most of the time I recommend for slides, don't do things that are fancy. I mean, as an audience member, you don't want to see all these fancy effects, right? You care about the content. And change theme I'm going to talk about later on, and master I will talk about later on. Arrange, I will talk about this as well. And tools, we get into some advanced things that I don't think are appropriate for this audience, although spelling, of course, is important. And then here's a handy one, voice type speaker notes. So remember these speaker notes down in the bottom? So if I want to, instead of typing my speaker notes, okay, what I could do is just go to tools and then voice type speaker notes. And if you have a microphone, you can just talk and it will make a transcript of what you say. So that's actually kind of handy. And add-ons, that's for advanced use. And then help is, help just like in other programs. So if you're first learning, you can do some training here or just get straight help. Right? So I would recommend the training maybe if it's the first time. All right. Okay, so that's the menu bar. I know that's a lot to take in pretty quickly. So, so let's just play. All right. So what I want to start with is themes. Now I recommend themes early on because very often where you position things is dependent on your theme. Okay, and so on the right-hand side, even if we don't see themes, because I'm seeing them right now on the right-hand side, but if we don't see them, just simply go to, it says slide, change theme, right? So slide, change theme, and then you'll get the themes on the right-hand side. And it comes bundled with quite a few. Okay. Now you'll see for me personally, I'm just using this one here called Simple Light. Okay, and for me, presentations are more about the content. They're not more about like looking flashy. I mean, we could do something like this, but in my opinion, when you have like a very fancy theme, it takes away from the content. Sure, it looks nice, okay, but it's not about what it looks like, it's about the content. So if you really want to consider the audience and consider that they can understand your presentation and follow along well, then I recommend that you stick to something fairly simple. So I just stick to the simplest, or you can just choose something else that doesn't have a lot of extra things on the screen. So that looks kind of nice. The theme, like the bar at the top or this little colored bar here, doesn't really detract from the content too much, right? Whereas if you use something like this, there's a lot on the screen and it's very distracting. And for some people, especially those that, like if you have an audience member that perhaps has Asperger's or ADHD or something, they can quickly get distracted by these other things. So you probably would just want to keep it simple. Okay, so that was themes. Edit master. Now I'm recommending this one next because sometimes you'll perhaps want to put like a logo in the corner of your slide. So let's say that you're creating a slideshow for a company and you have to have the company logo in. then what you're going to want to do is edit the master. So that's under Slide, Edit Master. Okay. And then right here, you'll get a full editor. And what you would simply do, let's say that you want to load that logo, right? You would just simply click Insert Image. So you can do that from here, or Insert Image. And then you've got lots of choices. So you would insert the image, position it where you want it to be, and then it would be part of your master slide. So then all of your slides would have that. Okay, now let's get to speaker notes I mentioned. Let's get to some fun things. So inserting an image. So this is fairly easy. If you look at my notes at the bottom, you can search directly from Google for an image, or you can upload from your computer, from Google Photos or Google Drive. So let's have a look at that. So if I go to Insert, Image, and you'll see those options here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to search the web. And then what I can just do is just search for instance, dog. Okay, and let's find a cute little dog. Okay, insert. And there we go, right? Then we can reposition it. Now, I want to make sure that this image is perfectly arranged in the center horizontally. So I can go to Arrange, Center on Page horizontally. So now I know that it's exactly in the middle. Okay, and let's say that I want to crop this image a little bit tighter. So if I double click on the image, I get these little bars on the edge, right? So now I can go ahead and just, crop it tighter. I perhaps should have used a different image to demonstrate cropping, but I think you get the idea. Okay, and if I want to rotate the image, I would just grab that little handle right up there, right? So I could rotate it and again, move it somewhere else. Okay, another thing you can do, which is kind of neat. So let's say you're presenting. So I'll go back to my title slide. Let's say I want to have a picture of me on the slide. I could say Insert, Image, Camera. Now, hopefully this still works. So I have to give it permission. Oh, so the problem is because I'm using my camera right now, I can't do that. But for you, if you're not using your camera, then you would be able to do that. Okay, next one, insert text box. So quite often you don't have to worry about that because when you have a slide that already has a format like this, then you'll already have text boxes inserted. But if you want to take one of these text boxes and perhaps insert another one, so let's say I'm going to change this, so I have a text box here, and then I want to have another text box, then I would simply say Insert, Text Box, and then I would just draw it where I want. Okay, and then there we go. We have another text box that we can go ahead and type into. Okay, just lose the themes here. Now, while we have that text box open, let me show you some things that we can do with it. So we want to have a numbered list, for instance. So that was an option right up here, numbered list. And under there, we have different options. Okay, we can also have a bulleted list. And again, under the bulleted list, we have different options, different kinds of bullets. We can have indent and outdent right there. Okay, we can change the spacing. Oh, sorry, this is the alignment. Okay, so let me just get rid of that. And let's say that I want to have it right aligned, or I want to have it center aligned. Okay, we have all those options. And let's say I want to turn that into a link. So I would just highlight that text, and there's the link icon. And then we could, in fact, do a search if we want to, right? Or paste in a URL directly. Any questions? I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay, insert audio. So this is kind of cool. So let's say that you, this would be nice perhaps if you're making a podcast. So one of the things you can do to very easily make a podcast is just get the voice recorder app on your phone, record the audio, and then upload the audio to Google Drive, because unfortunately it only allows you to insert audio from Google Drive here. So let me just demonstrate that. So insert audio. And oh, unfortunately, I have no audio. Oh, I don't have any, so I can't demonstrate that. So let's go out and no. I was going to go out and find it, but we might get into trouble and run out of time. But it's kind of nice because when you do that, then it automatically inserts a little icon that you can click on to play and pause, that sort of thing. Insert video. So insert video. So you have a number of options here. You could just simply search, or if you know the address, or you can insert from Google Drive. So in my case, what I like to do is I'm just going to search for one of my videos. So first I'm just putting in my name, and then the topic, it's a slug. So it's just a video I made of a slug that I've got on YouTube. And there it is, and select. And again, you can position it how you want. So I can arrange, center on page, horizontally, or if I want it also positioned vertically, centered vertically, I can do that. I can resize it. Okay, fairly simple. And again, this is fully works when you post this online. So insert shapes. So insert shape, and you'll see there's a number of categories. Okay, those are simple shapes, arrows, callouts, including numbers, you can see, and then equations, so mathematical things. Right, so you would just simply click on the category and then click on the shape and then draw it the size that you want. Now, one thing I want to demonstrate, I've got these shapes over here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight them all. And then under the arrange menu, okay, so we have different options. So if I want them all left aligned, I would choose align left and see how they've all snapped to the left. Okay, now I'm just going to hit Control Z to undo. Arrange, align, okay, center. So now they center on each other. And again, I'm going to undo. And then we can also do things vertically. Okay, so now they're all in a row together, but vertically they're all centered. And again, undo with Control Z. And we can also distribute them. So let me just take one of those objects and I'm going to move it over here. So let's say we want to take those three objects and we want them spaced equally apart. So first what I might do is say arrange and then align, and then I want them all lined up with each other. And I'm going to go arrange, distribute horizontally. And see what's happened? So now they're spaced evenly. So that's kind of handy if you just want to put a bunch of objects on there quickly. Could be thumbnails of people or shapes with words inside them, right? And then make it look nice by distributing equally. Now we can also group them. So let's say that I'm happy with how I have these three objects and I don't want the position of them to change. So then I can go to arrange and I can group them. And now anytime I grab them, they're a group that I can move together. And just like with pictures, we can rotate them. Now, if you do want to edit one of these objects afterwards, it's not a problem, even though they're grouped. If we just double click, right now it chooses that option inside there. Now you noticed when I double clicked, I got a little cursor there, so I can actually type text inside there. And then that text, I can fully edit it, just like I can with word processor. I can center it, change the color. Okay. Okay, insert table. So this would be a table just like inside a word processor. Insert table. And then the first thing we have to do is tell it how big we want the table to be. So if I want to be 4 columns by 3 rows, that's what I would choose. Okay, and then this will behave very similar to Google Docs or Word, where you can, click inside of a cell and then you can type text. Okay, you can, again, center it, you can make it bold, change the color, whatever you want to do. You can highlight it number of cells like that and then change the border. So you see right here, there's a little icon. And then if I want to change the outside and the inside lines, I would choose that icon there. Okay, and then I would go ahead and let's say we want that to be, this color here, and we want to thicken it up a little bit and maybe make it dashed. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. Okay, so that's tables. Chart. So this is kind of cool. Insert chart. So let's say we want a pie chart. So automatically what it's going to do, it's going to create the chart and it gives us a default chart. So if we don't want, this exact chart with that title and this data, we would simply click right here, okay, open source, and that's going to open that chart in Google Sheets. We have to give it a second for it to load. Okay, so if we don't want team one, so let's say we want to say like Ontario, okay, BC, Alberta, Nova Scotia. Okay, then automatically you'd see the titles would all change. We can go ahead and change the numbers. So BC, I'm going to change that to 10. And if we look carefully on the pie chart, you see that it gets updated automatically. And if we want to change the details of this, okay, so just like in Google Sheets, right, we would get all the options here to change the titles or whatever. If you want to add more information, you would just simply add another row right here, put in the data, and it would update automatically. Okay, so now if I close this, and if I go back to here, you'll see that it's still the old data. So what I need to do is click on update, and then it will update automatically with the new data. Pretty cool, eh? And there's, different options, right? We did the pie chart, line chart, columns, bars, or from a sheet. If you already have a Google Sheet with a chart already in it, you could embed it that way. All right. And insert diagram. So this one isn't used too much because it's very specific. So these are the kinds of diagrams you have, but let's say that you have to do like an org chart for your company. Okay, so you've got different options here and you would choose like how many levels. So let's say you've got, 4 levels in your org chart. And then you would choose, the default color that you want and then simply insert it. And then of course you would edit it. Word art, please don't use word art. No, that's a joke. Okay, so when I clicked on that, insert word art. Okay, then I get this little pop-up. And if you want to have multi-lines, it tells you to use Shift-Enter for multi-lines. So Shift-Enter. Okay, and then when I hit Enter, then it simply gives me those words large like that. Okay, and then I can go ahead and edit them the way I want. So if I want to change the fill color, if I want to change the outline color, if I want to change the thickness of the outline, change the font perhaps. Comic Sans, some of you will love that. Make it bold, italicize, whatever you want to do with it. So that's kind of nice sometimes for like graphical titles. Okay, so those are all the major things that you can insert. Links, I didn't talk about links. Actually, I did. You would just highlight the word that you want to become a link or an image, right? And then insert link and put in the address where you want it to go or another slide where you want it to go. Okay, so that's kind of a whirlwind tour of Google Slides. What are we doing, 45 minutes?